Hello, everybody, and welcome to Out of the Park Baseball 24. This is my New Orleans Jazz expansion league. I'm super excited to do this. I've been playing this game since the 2020 edition, just in the background. And this is kind of my way of making sure that I keep this series going because I found that I'll play this game for a long time and then I'll just like forget about it for a while. So I think it'll be really fun to play it on YouTube and I don't know, maybe people will watch it. So if you're new to Out of the Park Baseball, it is a football manager style game where it's really simulation based. It's hardcore on the like sort of stats and essentially you're playing as the general manager of a team or the manager if that's what you wanted. So welcome to the New Orleans Jazz. We expanded the league to 32 teams, so it's the Jazz and the Nashville Stars are the two new teams. I added New Orleans and Nashville because they seem to be some of the top contenders for cities to get expansion teams. I know that Charlotte is also up there, and so is Portland. But I kind of just, I don't know. I liked I New Orleans Jazz was what the Utah Jazz used to be. I'm pretty sure, and I just like the sound of that. I think it's a good name for a for a sports team, and yeah, we're just gonna go with this. So I'll show you how I expanded the league. Um, I don't necessarily think this is realistic, but I kind of liked the way I did it. So I tried to keep the teams like as close as I could to each other in their division. So the AL East is now going to be these four teams here. The AL Central will be like this. The AL West is going to have the Colorado Rockies join in, coming over from the National League. And then there's a new division called the AL South, which will be these teams. And they're all relatively close. Obviously, the West is going to be the hardest because Seattle is so out on its own. But there you go. And then the NL East is going to have the Blue Jays coming over from the American League East. But you've got these guys here. The Central Division is there, the West Division is there, and then the newly formed South Division is here. And so I think that I kept most of the like divisional rivalries together. I know that Pittsburgh has some beef with like the Reds and Chicago because they're all like storied teams in the Central. I had to pick one to move out, and I just decided on the Pirates because they're in Pennsylvania with Philadelphia, and that just made sense in my head. Um, and then of course the Braves and the Marlins and the Nationals I think are sort of new rivalry territory, and they're all sticking together, which I kind of like. The Red Sox and the Yankees obviously are staying in the same division. I think the Tigers and the Guardians, again, that this is sort of newer beef, but I think I felt like that was okay. But we'll see how it all plays out. This is what we're sticking with. So now, without further ado, why don't we go ahead and meet the team? So I'll start with the coaching and the front office. So our this is us. This is me as the general manager. And I think I'll probably make it so that I can't get fired. I know that that means that it doesn't have a whole lot of stakes, but I kind of want to play this for a while, and we're gonna suck. So it's high likelihood that we get fired, which would suck. The assistant GM is Theo Epstein. He is a well-known GM, I think, in the baseball world, but if you don't know him, he's the guy that's behind the Cubs winning the World Series in 2016 and the Red Sox winning the World Series in 2014 and 2000 or sorry, not 2014. 2004 and 2007. So, as a Red Sox fan who lives in Chicago, he's kind of a fun guy to have helping us run the team. You'll probably notice with most of my personnel, I went with Favors OBP, which is on base percentage. We're gonna really focus on guys who can walk, guys who can get on base. It's a little moneyball-y. I think lots of teams are doing this nowadays, but that's just how we're gonna do it. And then also we're gonna favor prospects. We're gonna look for young guys to fill out the organization and hopefully become something stronger. And then we're probably gonna trade a lot. We're gonna leave the team as it is for at least the first month, but it's probably gonna be a bit of a rotating door this first season. And then the manager is Ozzy Guillen. He's a temperamental personality type, which means that he doesn't work well. He works well with normal guys, and he struggles with temperamental. So we've sort of built a our coaching staff around that. He's a conventional manager, which means like he's not super invested in sabermetrics and stuff like that, which is a little disappointing. But we kind of wanted to get a guy in who had some experience. And again, as a Chicago native, it's pretty fun. He's the one who brought the White Sox to the World Series in 2005. So looking at his uh, stats here, he's great at handling age, which is awesome. He handles development excellently. He favors prospects. He favors OBP. He's kind of a perfect fit for us here as our manager. So I think he will do pretty great. We'll take a look at our owner really quick. His name is Dave Hernandez. He is an economizer, so he's probably not going to raise our finances too much, but hopefully we'll get some money to work with. And our goals for the season are to don't suck completely, find a top prospect in the top 20, which we found one. Our scout like immediately found one, which is fantastic. And then build your farm system up to a top six. Just because of this one guy, we're up to the 20th. So I think these are pretty doable. He wants to find a top prospect by the end of the season and to build the farm system by 2025. So we have some time on the farm system, but we really got to make sure that our draft goes well this year. So now let's go ahead and look at the team. So our top players overall are Keegan Akin. He is a starting pitcher who came over from Baltimore in the expansion draft. I've already gone through the expansion draft, and I've already done some trades as well. I got us to opening day. He is a decent pitcher. He's got a really good fastball, really good slider. His curveball could use some work, but he's got a league average changeup, so lots of pitches that he can work with here. In 2021, he was pretty bad, but in 2022, he had a better year in 81 and two-thirds innings. These are our ratings, as you can see. Besides Ref Schneider in left and Oscar Gonzalez in right, we are bottom of the barrel here. All of our guys are rated in the bottom five for their position, so not great. So I'm gonna have no control over the lineup. Ozzy Guillen is gonna make the lineup and maintain that. What I will control is players getting promoted and demoted in the minors. So as people do poorly or do well, we will promote and demote accordingly. So catching for us is going to be Jake Rogers and Tom Murphy. That's going to be our sort of tandem there. In the past, catcher ability has been super important for pitchers to pitch well. I think that they changed that in more recent games, so I don't think this is as important. But he's still a good. He's got a good eye. He's an okay power guy. He can't really hit, but what I'm more interested in is the fact that he can catch. And then Tom Murphy is a better bat. Again, not the best, and again, a pretty defensive-minded catcher. So hopefully, those two guys, between the two of them, we can get a pretty decent catcher there. Pavin Smith is going to be our starting first baseman. He's coming over from Arizona. This guy is pretty exciting. I think Arizona's got him playing right field right now. He's got a decent bat. He's young. He's only 27. And last year he hit 222 with a 300 OBP, which was good for 88 OPS plus. So a little slightly under average there, but that's in 75 games. Hopefully, hopefully he improves and shows us there. Luke Raley was my first pick in the draft, and it's mainly because he's a decent outfielder and he's a decent bat and he's young. I liked the look of him a lot. Um, he had a bad season last year, and I think he's just not put it together in the majors. Um, but in 63 games in AAA last year, he hit 300 with a 401 on base percentage. So if we can get something like that out of him in the majors, that would be fantastic. But currently, Ozzie Guillen isn't too high on him. He's not starting him, but he's got him coming in every seventh game in right field, so that'll be fine. And then we picked up Kevin Biggio. He again is another one of these guys who just hasn't really had the season that's expected of him. Last year in 97 games, he hit 202 with a 318 on base percentage. That's not bad, but it's pretty bad. I mean, for our team, it's up there as pretty decent. But again, he's 27 years old. He's on a cheap 2.8 mil deal, so that's gonna be good for us, I think. Then at second base, we're gonna be starting Taylor Walls. This guy's a bit of a Rays legend. He's a great defensive player. I sort of picked him up as a shortstop, but Guillen is playing him at second. You'll see in a second who's playing short. And we we just like we just like his defense really. He's not been much of a hitter in the past. He had a 172 average in 122 games last season. So lots of opportunities to hit and didn't really hit. So hopefully he can put it together for us, but we'll have to see. And then Harold Castro is a guy who came over from Colorado in the draft. He can kind of play any outfield position. He's not really an infielder. He might get a couple of games that here and there in the infield, but he'll probably more play left and right this season. And he's a really good average guy with a okay on base percentage. He doesn't walk a whole lot, right? Like you can see his eye is terrible. So hopefully we can get some good at bats, maybe as a pinch hitter kind of thing. I think he's got probably one of the highest contact stats ratings on our team. Our third baseman, this is pretty exciting. We picked up Evan Longoria from the Arizona Diamondbacks. His contract is only 4 mil for 1 year with the Diamondbacks. And again, if you're not familiar with out of the park baseball, it's kind of important to have like these personality guys in your team. So like Longoria is a great leader in the clubhouse, and he can hit for power. And he's not a great defensive guy. He's got an okay arm, but 45 in defense is below average. Last season with the San Francisco, he hit 244 with a 315 on base percentage. That was good for a 114 OPS plus. So not bad. 14 home runs. We're hoping to get the scrape the bottom of the barrel with Evan Longoria at 37 years old. He probably is a trade chip at the deadline, or we just let him walk in free agency depending on what offers that we see. Shortstop is going to be oh gosh, I can't ever say his name right. Marcio Dubon. I love the fact that he never strikes out. He's got 65 avoid Ks. That's pretty great. Bat leaves something to desire here. And he's really more of a better center fielder than he is a shortstop. But in the draft, there was really only one guy who played a decent shortstop, and that was Paul DeYoung. And I didn't want to take Paul DeYoung because he's on like a 4 year deal with that's worth like 20 million or something, and that was just too much. So he's had okay hitting seasons. Mainly, again, he doesn't walk, which is kind of a problem. And this is probably the spot that we're looking to upgrade the most. Left field is going to be Rob Refsnyder. He's coming over from Boston, and I like this guy in real life. He's putting together a good season in real life so far. He's 32 years old, which isn't the best, but he's still in arbitration, so we'll still have some team control for him. And last season, 57 games, he hit 307 with a 304 on base percentage. That was good for a 151 OPS plus and 1.5 WAR. So that's pretty great. It was only 57 games, so we'll have to see if he can keep that up for a full season. But I like his bat. He strikes out a little bit too much, but honestly, that's fine. So here's Oscar Gonzalez, right? So Guillen has Gonzalez starting as our DH, which I sort of disagree with. I like his fielding, but as you're going to see, our outfield is sort of packed, filled with defensive outfielders, and we don't really have a good bat. So Oscar Gonzalez will start off as our DH. Hopefully, he'll get some time in the field because I think he's going to be really great. He's 25 years old. We got him from a trade. I'll show you the trades that I made here in a bit, but we got him off of a trade with Cleveland. Brett Phillips, the legend himself, coming over from Tampa, or well, I guess he's signed with LA this season, but he's not a batter. He's a defender. You can see he's one of the best right fielders in the league, one of the best center fielders in the league, and has the potential to be one of the best left fielders in the league. He's quick, and he's got a good eye. So hopefully we can get some production out of him. Obviously not a great hitter here, as you can see, but he had that fantastic year in 2020 with the like walk off in the World Series. So that's fun. Another guy we traded for was Mike Yastrzemski. Like I said previously, I'm a huge Red Sox fan, so it's kind of fun to have Yaz's kid on the team. He's just sort of been a consistent guy, slowly falling off, but he always puts up a decent amount of home runs. He always gets a decent amount of RBIs. He's got a good bat. He's a pretty good fielder. So just a guy that's nice to have. He's on a $6 million contract, which is kind of a lot. He's one of the higher paid guys on our team, but hopefully we can get some production out of him. And then pitching wise, we're just gonna do this really quick. We got Zach Plesac in a trade with Cleveland as well. He's a decent pitcher. Hasn't really put it together like you'd expect him to, but you know, has had decent years. His whip is kind of high, but hopefully he can be good at the top of the rotation there for us. Joey Lucchesi. I don't think I'm saying that right. Sorry, Mets fans. I got him from the Mets. He's been a guy who has been sort of talked about as like a pretty big deal. I think he got hurt. I think he had Tommy John at one point. Keegan Atkin, we already talked about. Adrian Sampson is a guy that we picked up in the draft from Chicago. I was thinking of him more as like a long relief guy because I'm not a huge fan of the fact he only has 3 pitches and his slider and changeup is below average, so it's not great. But we'll see how he does in the rotation. And then lastly in the rotation is going to be Steven Brault. I think I just signed him. Yeah, so we didn't pick him up in the expansion draft. We just signed him. And again, a guy who hasn't really been impressive, and that's essentially our entire team. He only pitched 9 innings in 2022, and in 2021 he pitched 27. So you know hasn't really seen a whole lot of action in the MLB. He's 30 years old. He probably won't be with us for too long, but there you go. Another guy we signed is Neftali Feliz. He's the Rookie of the Year winner in 2010, which is kind of fun. I didn't know that. He's on probably at the end of his career. He hasn't really pitched a whole lot, so hopefully we can squeeze some productive years out of him. We got Cutter Crawford over from the Red Sox as well. This guy I was expecting to go into the rotation, but I think because of the 45 stamina, Ozzy wants him in the bullpen, which is fine. I think in real life is having a pretty good season. He's not really impressed in the majors in the past, but so we will see how that goes. Clevenger coming over from the Rays. I love his stuff and slider. That's really why you get him here. Here's Jansen Junk. We talked about him. I was also sort of expecting him to be in the starting rotation, but that's where Guillen's got him now. Aaron Bummer coming over from the White Sox. He's got some great movement. He's got some really good pitches. If he can keep the walks under control, then he can be great for us. Last season, he had a pretty good year until he got hurt, I'm pretty sure. We're bringing Chris Archer in. We signed him on a minor league deal, and he made the team in spring training. We've already done spring training. He hasn't really pitched since he was good, 10 years ago. He made the All Star team in 2015. So, hopefully we can, again, another one of those guys where we're just sort of hoping to squeeze the last bit of productivity out of him. Brad Peacock is another one of those guys. He made the team. He's a minor league deal. He made the team in spring training by pitching really well. He's probably one of those guys that, if we need to, we'll drop him pretty quick back into the minors. So there's that. And then lastly, John Brebbia. He came over from San Francisco in the draft. Um, Other than his changeup, he looks like a really solid major league player. So that's the team. If you want to take a look at the jerseys really quick, I just made these kind of fast. It's nothing special, really, but I don't know. It looks good. These are our logos, the colors that we're using, everything like that. I'll show you the transactions we made. So let's look at the transactions. I think I made 3 trades before the season started. So the first one was on draft day. We traded Caleb Ferguson, who we picked up and knew we were going to trade right away. He's 26 years old. He looks like he's going to be a fantastic pitcher, but his control is kind of low, and he doesn't have the fastest velocity. So I decided we'll pick him up and trade him away, and that's where we got Zach Blizak, who is #1 in our rotation, and Oscar Gonzalez, who is probably our most talented player. And then we also got Colin McHugh. Uh, Again, another guy. He's 35 years old, so it's a bit of a toss-up whether or not he's going to have a good season or fall apart. But he's making $5 million. I didn't really want to hold on to a $5 million contract in the bullpen. So we traded him to San Francisco, and that's where we got Yaz and Austin Wins, who is in our minor league system right now, but he's probably good enough to come up and be a backup catcher for us. And we got San Francisco to hold on to 35% of Mike's contract. So I think all in all, that's a pretty good trade for us. And lastly, we made one more trade. It was Tommy Kahnle. So we got Tommy Kahnle off of the Yankees. Again, a really good pitcher, but he's got a 2-year contract and making almost $6 million. Not really willing to put that much money into the bullpen this first season since we're going to be so bad anyway. And we picked up Oswaldo Cabrera, who is a pretty talented second baseman, although he can play the outfield as well. He's a guy that probably gets brought up pretty quick if anybody struggles in the major leagues, and as well as Antonio Gomez, who's he might be good. He's got a really good arm, and he's young. He's only 21, so this is a pretty good prospect for us. Taking a look at the minor leagues, our best minor leaguer is going to be Francisco Morales, another guy who's got low control. He's only 23, so maybe he improves that, but there you go. And then we've got Michael Feliz, who's got a terrible changeup, but otherwise a decent pitcher. He's 29, so he's probably one of the guys that could come up pretty quick for us. And then some of the guys that we just sort of signed, we picked up Michael Pineda. He's a guy that's bounced around team to team in the majors. He's 34 years old. If we need a pitcher, he'll come up. We also got guys like Archie Bradley, another one of those guys who, if we need a relief guy, he can come up and be a reliever for us. For the batters, we've got, obviously, Oswaldo Cabrera's there. I'm definitely going to butcher this. It's Kenan Smith Najab? I think something like that. He is 23 years old. He's already got a fantastic bat. He's a pretty good defender. So hopefully he can come up for us quick and be good for us. We've got Wilfred Tovera. He is a good defensive second baseman. Not really good with the bat, but doesn't strike out, so that's good. Louis Gurriel is here. Sam Hilliard is here. JT Riddle is here. Frank Swindell is here. Abraham Toro is a guy that'll probably get brought up pretty quick for us. So my approach this season is definitely going to be a bit of a rotating door situation. I think what we'll do is play opening day next episode. So this will be just a sort of like prologue episode where you meet the team, meet the guys that we brought in, the coaching staff, and a quick look at the majors and what that's looking like. But if you're excited about this, drop a like, subscribe, all of those fun YouTube things. And if you're not excited about this, that's fine too. I'm just doing this for fun, and I think it's gonna be a blast because I love this game. And the way I describe this to most people is it's baseball spreadsheets, the video game. So definitely a different kind of game, but I think it's a blast anyway. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in opening day.